It's Wednesday morning to you, the 29th day of October. The year is blessed, it is 2025. My name is Francis Ofulues, and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Morning Ride. And this is on behalf of the board, management, and staff of this beautiful station called Delta Broadcasting Service. This is Delta Television. Good morning, Perpetua.
Good morning, Francis.
So I'll do the introduction since I already called her name. This is Perpetua Eboba. They call her Adam of the airwaves on radio, but on TV, she's a magnificent soul. And she's ready to have a great conversation with us right here on Breakfast Television. Good morning again, Perpetua Eboba.
Good morning, Francis.
Now, when I jumped to the studio, we've had several conversations about many current affairs, things going on in the country and the rest of them.
Right.
But something struck our mind. It is what today is all about, and that is International Day of Care.
Yes, care. Care for those who need it, care around us, most especially focusing on those that look after children, the sick. Francis, you agree with me that these people are, well, I say, I don't want to use the word neglected, but I want to say that the services they render are not really spoken about in the society. But if you look at it, these people do a whole lot of work, from babysitting our kids and ensuring that most especially our mothers go to work and have a comfortable life. Sometimes during the public holiday, you find parents preparing their children to still go to the babysitter's place and ensure that they are well taken care of, provided they have that time to, rest. To those people that started with the responsibility of caring for the aged ones, talking about our parents, our grandparents, to those people that normally do, the normal care, taking care of people in the society, these people are doing an amazing work, I'm telling you, and most times they go unrecognized. That's the problem. So today is dedicated to all of them, saying thank you to those who show care to people in the society, ranging from our babies, our toddlers, to the sick, to the aged, to those who are having mental issues, that's health issues in the society. Trust me, the list is endless, but these people are doing an amazing job. And honestly, your efforts at showing care will never go unrewarded.
Oh man, words on marvel, really. I think that your efforts will never go unnoticed. And even those of us who care for those around us, you might have one challenge or the other.
Right.
Your efforts are not unnoticed. We'll go on a short break right now. When we return, we'll look at the current affairs that we should be talking about in the breakfast show. And we have with us Meshach Oza, who is waiting, ready to devour the stories making the front pages on the dailies this morning. We'll be back soon. Join us again.
Oborewori government, they do numerous projects. And it still they go on to they approve new projects. And it not still they borrow money. Think calm. No be lie. Delta government just approve projects worth 230 billion. Governor Oborewori understand say when good road network dey, it help the economy to dey robust. Even individual businesses could thrive. Both transportations.
I hear say Governor Oborewori to approve Agbo flyover 59 billion.
Yes, I hear.
And flyover for Ogeli Patani Highway for Otowodo Junction. Also, Sapele Dual Carriage 35 billion.
Yes, I dey aware.
Wait till Oga Friday. I hear say all these road constructions where they go on for Delta State now across the 3 senatorial districts.
Now everywhere. Why you ask?
I hear say Governor Sheriff they do road for Isoko Nation.
Governor Sheriff, they do numerous roads there. Don't forget say Governor Sheriff don't complete Emefo Road Phase 1. As for the talks, so Phase 2 they in progress. Governor Sheriff don't do Utekbo Road for Elu. Also for that Elu, construction of Arade Road still they in progress. Governor Sheriff they do road for Emede. They still they do for Olomo Road, Igwide Road. Also, 3 internal roads for Ideheze community. Construction of bridge they in progress for Asaba Ase. And this Asaba Ase bridge, when it they completed, it will connect Uzere for Isoko South to Asaba Ase for
Don't do. Governor Sheriff more agenda. Nari matter. Governor Sheriff came prepared to govern with excellence. Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
The commitment of Oborowori to a peaceful Delta is unshaken. The commitment of Oborowori to a Delta that becomes #1 investment destination is also unshaken. His commitment to also ensuring that our people become gainfully employed remains also unshaken. Governor, from the time he campaigned, contested and won the election, was very clear on the need to carry all Deltans along, listen more and do more. The governor has demonstrated fairness across all divides, bringing development that are meaningful to the different communities, ensuring that we embark on reforms that are realistic enough to, of course, trigger the whole of development across the 25 local government areas, and at the same time, creating opportunities for all aspects of our dear state. Oborowori approach to governance is what Nigerians want, and that is what is giving Deltans, and that is an approach that values everybody. So those who want to drag him to one corner and want to foment trouble, Oborowori is not buying that. So perhaps they may need to close shop because they are not likely going to get a customer in Oborowori.
Top of the morning to you once again. It's time for us to look at front pages of our dailies this morning. We have 7 of them to look at precisely, ranging from The Guardian, The Nigerian Tribune, The Independent, The Punch, New Telegraph, The Vanguard, Daily Trust, all of them. We'll look at them this morning. Here with us is Meshach Oza, but before we say good morning to him, let's look at the papers. But we're going to do a different style this morning, where we look at the headlines and then we'll fall back to Meshach Oza. Let's just say hi to Meshach Oza. Good morning to you,
yes.
Meshach.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good back.
Happy Wednesday.
Well, very beautiful Wednesday like always, and I think I wouldn't say too happy. Happy Wednesday to us Nigerians.
Happy
so
Wednesday
much
to
to
you.
ponder about.
We'll find out the headlines this morning and see the ones we'll ponder about according to our front pages. Let's start with the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper has several headlines here. The big headline says, election year to test Nigeria's reform momentum, growth recovery. That's on page 6. That's the big headline on the Guardian newspaper. Election year to test Nigeria's reform momentum, growth recovery. The big headline on the Guardian newspaper. At the top strip, we have First Bank vindicated. Arbitration Tribunal dismisses GHL's $718 million claim. And that story, just underneath that big headline, we have Power Tussle rocks APC as leaders split over Mufwang's defection. Still underneath that big headline, manufacturing endangered as sector sheds 18,935 jobs in H1 2025. Reps raise alarm over terrorist threat to bomb National Assembly. Reps raise alarm over terrorist threat to bomb National Assembly. That's on news page 4. We have some stories here left on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Obi worries about drug trafficking through courier services. Local contractors accuse federal government of withholding 760 billion naira payment, threatening protest. And finally, on the front page here says, Nigeria among least connected air despite huge potential. Nigeria among least connected by air despite huge potential. That's on business page 22. These are the stories making the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. We'll get back to the studio. And we talked to Engineer Mesha Koza. This big headline says election year to test Nigeria's reform, momentum, and growth recovery.
I think quite an unfortunate situation, because that's always been a narrative of every election year. It was spoken. We had the same narrative in 1999. We had in 2003. We had in 2000. Every year, the years leading up to an election, a year two leading up to an election, you see everybody wants to, fulfill something like an integrity test. The INEC, the judiciary, the security agencies. But funny enough, post-election, they all would have made a mockery of themselves. Our democracy is really fraught with a lot of trust issues, and that is where it is not about electoral reforms right now, because it's more about people reorientation reforms. We need to reorientate our mindset towards what do we really want as a people, because we've always talked about this narrative year in, year out, even with electoral reforms. We need political reforms as well. The politicians, the only way we can get this right, I must let you know, is the fact that people must be held accountable. There's no accountability in our political process. Until people are held accountable and made to do time for political crimes, what is happening in Cameroon would likely come and happen here if we don't tread softly. The people have a tolerance level. There's an elastic limit for political tolerance. People are beginning to get to the precipice, and once you get to the break point, once there's a break point situation, the center will no longer hold, and of course the people will take their destinies in their hand. When the political class continue to flaunt the wealth of the Commonwealth of the Nigerian people to their faces, send their kids abroad, allowing our educational system to be bastardized, and when the judiciary continues to tell lies, continue to show that justice can be bought, justice can be negotiated, when the security agencies compromise on the professional etiquette that we're trained to carry out, the people have a strain limit, and when it gets to that limit, they break. So electoral reforms has been long overdue. Unfortunately, the people that are postulating for electoral reforms, or who are going to be discussing these reforms, are the same people that break the law, are the same people that have held the judiciary in the jugular, are the same people that have said democracy will not work, are the same people that are two-faceted, are the same people that belong to 3 different political parties at the same time, are the same people that are derailing our democracy, that are weakening the fiber of our security architecture. So I think we need drastic measures, need drastic action. For us to really get it right, I think we need to do things with some drastic force.
So what should the new INEC boss be looking at right now? The Joash Amogudan, what should he be looking at right now?
Basically, I want to believe that the status quo of before now will not reenact itself. What I'm talking about is that all INEC bosses that have come, professors from citadels of learning, I've always made the same comment. My tenure, I will make sure elections are transparent. I will make sure that the votes count. Nigerians are tired of fallacies. Those are lies from the pit of hell. Now, what does the President INEC chairman need to do? He needs to bring credibility back to the institution, the INEC institution, because Nigeria, you have seen how elections are conducted in this country. We have seen states where somebody that came forth became governor. We have seen states where politicians had to fly private jets on the day to election to a certain state because they want to help. You are not from that state. You are a governor. You are a House of Rep member. What business do you have to go to that state on election day? Let the people decide. Now, INEC chairman needs to understand that what happens to one Nigeria happens to all Nigerians. And to happen to him, Nigeria will happen to both him and his children. So he needs to make sure that the BVAS machine works, that our elections count. It's so unfortunate. Now, Francis, if you go to the bank, you do a transaction immediately. Immediately you send money out of your account, the money is deleted, and the person you're sending the money to is credited. That is how votes should count. The moment I am voting, it should be a central control room that reflects the vote, and everybody's seeing it. The 36 states INEC office and the central control in Abuja INEC office, everybody's seeing that is in line with international best practices. Everybody sees that yes, there's an accountability, there's transparency. Look, Nigeria is the only country where 75 to 80% of electoral offices are held, are gotten, or are eclipsed, grabbed through the courts. And it's unfortunate. It's not true through the electorate. It's not through the voters. It's not through, the winning mandate. It's through the courts. And we need to get that out of our political lexicon. So it must make sure that INEC is working. And INEC can only be working when INEC is doing what is right in the eyes of the people and international community. We should stop this vote buying, this hijacking, this coercing, this fear factor, this intimidation, political intimidation to coerce politicians and to coerce their followers to show allegiance to a certain political party. That is not democracy.
That's not the way forward.
All right, still looking at the Guardian newspaper, one of the headlines saw that members of the House of Reps, they are raising alarm over the issue of insecurity and, of course, the threat to bomb the National Assembly. And over time, we've seen that different people have been kidnapped. Some that were lucky, ransom were paid, and they got back to their family. Some were just, rendered unalive, ranging from clergymen, no limits. Clergymen, young, old, middle-aged, and now it has come to the leadership talking about the House.
The leadership of the National Assembly is a collection, I'm sorry to use this word, dishonorable men. It's a show of shame to see people in the National Assembly sit down and deliberate on trivial issues that do not give credence to governance. Nigeria's biggest problem now is insecurity. And because without security, people cannot work, people cannot go to farm. Besides power, insecurity has taken over power as the biggest problem. And the National Assembly members are beginning to cry because of what they saw in Cameroon happen. And Nigeria, you can see lone voices, Peter, PDM, so many other lone voices who are coming out to speak. And lone voices are beginning to gather mold. When you roll a rolling stone, as it's rolling, it's gathering mold, it's gathering sand. And that is what's beginning to happen. And that is premised on the fact that Nigerians are one of the most intelligent group of people in the world. You take them for granted once, not a problem. Take them for granted twice, but you won't take them for granted more than twice. They would have learned their lessons and they will want to react. Now, the National Assembly, I've seen there's been a geometric retrogression in legislation in the National Assembly since this 11th or 10th or 11th Assembly, because you see issues of discourse, of national interest and international importance have not been put into discussion. We have seen visuals of herdsmen or bandits receiving supplies through shoppers. I've seen visuals of bandits receiving fuel supply to their bikes and rides with a tanker. How did those tankers get there? How did these shoppers get to supply these arms? The quality and standard of arms and ammunition people are using, how did they get through our borders? How did they get through these multiple checkpoints? There's probably a collusion between people in power, the security agencies, and you name it, the security architecture. So they are crying now it's not about crying, it's not about talking, it's about taking action. We have seen these army deserters coming out to say that, look, people are giving them away. That at times, even when they want to go and that they can defeat these bandits and the Boko Haram, as the case may be, but when they want to act, superior authority, superior order comes from above, asking them to stay action. What they
there are several things here. The lawmakers of Nigeria have been threatened by terrorists, and they are very concerned because they gathered intelligence saying that we're going to bomb the National Assembly. I think that's
wait, I'm coming. Are their lives much more important than the lives of Nigerians that have been bombed every day?
My concern here is if they should be threatened by
people that have security are feeling threatened. Yes, one of those of us that don't have security.
That's my concern, basically.
Francis, you don't have a concern.
Rolling through my head.
Let me tell you, the National Assembly is a mockery of legislation. They are not concerned about you and I. They are more concerned about themselves because they have seen that the tide is getting closer. There's a movement.
They had intelligence reports, Mashad.
Wait, I'm coming. You have to stop using that word. It hurts Nigerians when they listen.
Intelligence reports. That's
they have had intelligence reports that Boko Haram insurgents are getting into Nigeria. They have had intelligence report that states and cities, towns, Jera in Katsina State was just was just annexed by bandits, I think a couple of days ago, and they had an interface with the local community. A certain community in Kano State paid 15 million naira for protection. These are intelligence reports. Let me tell you something, the DSS are working. I must give intelligence agencies a great job, but they don't have the policy power to take decisions of reacting to policy, to informations they are gathered. So most times when people want to blame some of the security agencies, I want to, especially the DSS, I want to hold brief for them. They are working at gathering information. It is our policy makers that are retrogressing the counter-insurgency powers of these security agents. Because the CEC has the final say, the chief of army staff, the defense chiefs, the heads of security agencies and architecture have the final say to tell their boys to go to the bush or to react against an insurgent. And now, looking at the context of what we're talking about, these guys are only shouting now because they are saying that, yes, it's like the center is beginning not to hold. The center is looking like they wants to cave in. Because if Nigerian lives matter to them, this is not the time. They should have been shouting since they came into power. That should have been the priority. But their priority was jeeps and yachts, was renovating of the presidential villa, the first.
Does mean that terrorists have now have more momentum?
The terrorists.
Because let me put it in context. If a primary 2, KG5, KG2 student or pupil threatens to throw a stone at you, would you run?
I would run. Because at that threat, now you are going to look at it from a metaphoric line of thinking. The child now, as threatened, he lacks knowledge of what he wants to do. He lacks complete knowledge of what he wants. He knows he wants to stone you. If he stones you and you are injured, he might still be laughing that he has injured you.
Talk about a 4-year-old.
Yes, the same. He will still be
Would
laughing.
you just catch the baby's hand?
I'm coming. It will still be laughing.
Contain
there are two issues here.
Yes, that's what I'm
There are
asking.
two issues. If the child is holding a gun and is going to shoot you, will you just rush at the child to catch him and grab the gun? No. If it's a stone, yes, in the process of trying to go grab the stone, it might throw the stone. Now, it's a guerrilla warfare. You need intelligence. Now, I want to relate what you have said to what is happening. How do you relate it? You need intelligence to handle that child. You need intelligence to handle the insurgents. Now, how do you handle this child with intelligence? He's holding a gun or he's holding a stone. We come with a caveat, biscuits, sweet. Man, Francis, come and take ice cream. Yeah. Drop the stone. You have sold. Now, that is what you look. You need drastic actions for drastic measures. We're not fighting a linear war. We're fighting a guerrilla war. And in a guerrilla warfare, you don't really know the true enemy. The enemies can be with you and within you. But the problem we are seeing right now is that we have the Nigerian army, the armed forces have the capacity to fight this fight, but they do not have the political authority to take action. A lot of deserters have come out to say it. We see them on print and electronic media coming to say yes. Most times when their commanders have asked them to stay action, when they want to go, and they limit the supply mechanism for armored personnel backups. Because look, it's simple. The Sambisa Forest, I schooled in the north. The north is a grassland where the forest, most of there's grassland. Meanwhile, in the south, it's mangrove rainforest. Now, if you're talking of the south, we have a lot of canopies in the bush. But in the north, you don't. You can see from here, you can see through bushes to Onitsha.
Yes.
So what happens now? If there is an influx of bandits between a community, I mean, there's no synergy between the government and security agencies. What stops the helicopters? Police has a helicopter. We have air police. The Nigerian Air Force has helicopters. Then the infantry, the foot soldiers will move on the ground. These people can easily neutralize.
Which is one of the best in the world, by the way.
Yes. Now, have you not sat down to ponder that Nigerian security agencies, when they go for international peacekeeping missions, they get the best. They're always given accolades from ECOMOG to United Nations, to so many of them in Congo, Brazzaville, even to, you name it, we're always the best. But within the shores of our country, we can't contain insurgency. That means there's a political hand behind it.
Well. I have many questions coming from there. Even when you said that they should give the child biscuit, I was going to ask you if symbolically that means should they continue negotiations with this?
Now, when you
take
yes, when you give them a bait to catch criminals, it's a very simple thing.
Should they negotiate with terrorists?
I wouldn't call it. It's not negotiating. Now it's a bait. If you want to catch criminals now, maybe somebody, a kidnapped suspect, you track the phones, for example. and we could catch the person's girlfriend or fiancé or wife as a bait. That is the biscuit, that is the ice cream, that is the carrot. You use it to get the person, and you've grabbed the criminal, you've decapacitated the criminal, you demobilized the criminal to take action. So it is not like you are negotiating for peace. You are using the instruments of negotiation to get the suspect into your custody.
Okay, let's move to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. That's been
Getting angry.
All right, let's move on to the next paper.
All right, looking at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, these are the headlines. First Bank vindicated. Arbitration Tribunal dismisses GHL's $718 million claim. There are riders to that story, but moving on to the next story. Moving on to the next story on Nigerian Tribune, it says, Reps probe NFF over alleged misuse of FIFA and CAF grants. Burning Kebbi Stadium in focus. We have received threats from terrorists to bomb NAS, Reps Committee Chairman. Anambra election. Violence will be met with a strong, uncompromising response. This is coming from NSA. Police to deploy 45,000 officers. Amupiton justifies extension of collection of PVCs. And lastly, looking at the Nigerian Tribune, it says, growing concern over CBN's bid to control Nigeria's fixed income market. So the first one I'm going to be asking you on is the Anambra election. You know, the police has come out to say that they're going to be deploying 45,000 officers. And Amupiton is justifying the extension of collection of PVCs. And NSA is also saying, you know what, violence will be met with something stronger, an uncompromising response.
I think that's a waste of security manpower.
The 45,000 officers.
It's a total waste of security manpower. If we had been doing things rightly in this country, you see, our political and electoral processes are so premised on insecurity, are so premised on violence, and the political elite are the biggest problem. What are you using 45,000 security personnel to do in an election in one state? Because the desperation of certain people in power, the desperation of power of incumbency, the desperation of political big men to want to annex the collective will of the people. What happens if they sit down and do a continuous orientation of the people, that their votes are, the violence is as a result of people not believing in the system. So for you to disenfranchise the people from security coverage, I'm talking of those people that are not voting. 46,000 are not coming from Anambra State. They're going to be deployed from all the states around.
Yes.
The southeastern states, the south-south states, because probably policemen, it's only in Nigeria you see police security agents being part of an electoral process, part of an election day procedure. It's only in Nigeria and Africa, let's use that word. But in Sena clients, if we must grow, we should copy progressives, not retrogressives. We should copy, people that are ready to grow. I've seen elections being conducted in Europe, in Iceland, Switzerland, Sweden, and me. You wouldn't even know it's election day. People are just going to vote, they go home. You don't need, there's never been a need for you to say these are agents of party A or party B. There's never been a need for somebody, a security, a mayor coming to vote, then 2 policemen would escort him, they would aid him to carry ballot boxes. It's a sham. So we are a product of our leadership. And until we decide as a people that we want the system to work, we wouldn't need 45,000 policemen. The people that are decided will make it work.
But now, Meshach,
yes.
Now, Engineer Meshach, as it is now, how long would they educate these people? Because the election is
November. Education.
Anambra has 21 local governments with
that's
6
not
million
problem.
people.
I'm going to answer you.
45,000 policemen out of 250,000 policemen.
Education is not vocal expression. Education is bringing integrity to the system. Education is communicating information, knowledge that builds the political capacity and content of the people. When the people believe that their vote will count, you will know there will not be fight. When the people believe, it will not be left for the politicians to do their work. It will not be left for the politicians to do what ought to be done. If you are in power, then you must show your workings, so that the electorate will now be more empowered to understand that they are actually the game changers and not those people that give them 10,000. It's not for the national heritage. Look, if you talk, it's just waste of time. People are talking has not helped Nigeria. It is transformational communication. Transformational communication centers on the working showings of leadership. When people are held accountable, you stole money and you are made to go to jail, not somebody will now go and pardon you after 6 months, say it's executive pardon or presidential pardon or national pardon. That is not democracy.
Okay, and like I was saying,
Yeah.
I said the police force has 250,000 people, but now that's the figures that we can gather. And they are saying 45,000 of these men will go to a state of 6 million people, 21 local government areas. In the same Anambra state, let us be mindful of the fact that it's not just about voter apathy in the sense of the votes don't count. Most times it's about voter apathy coming from a place of threats by other parties and other bodies. And with some of these bodies, one of their number one person is right now speaking boldly in court as we speak. In time past, Anambra people have said, don't do elections here. There have been threats like that in the past. So is the police wrong to say that we are not going to accept this? People who want to vote should go and vote. Don't compel them to stay at home.
Can I ask you a question, Francis?
Yeah.
If over time, you're talking of 45,000 policemen going to Anambra because of election. There have been insecurity in Anambra. What stopped them from only sending for those 45,000 men to fight before now? The IPOB, the ESM, the kidnappers. And you and I have seen on social media indigenes being killed, slaughtered every day. Why must it be an election time that you know that security is paramount? Why have you not sent security to go and maintain sanity and fish out these guys from the trenches from the caves, from the hidden oases of Anambra State, and in the bushes, and bring them to justice? So it's a contradiction of government policy.
All right, let's really pray that Anambra State gets it right regardless.
Hopefully. You'll be shocked. Nothing will happen. People will come vote and go. Let me tell you something about Nigerians. That we have become very intelligent. You see, the gullibility of the average electorate is beginning to wane. They are beginning to see themselves as prized assets in the democratic process, and understanding the fact that they hold the yam and the carrot in deciding their own fate. And in that circumstance, the trajectory towards 2027, we see a reduction in electoral violence, because we are sitting on the keg of gunpowder. Any form of electoral malpractice or a distortion of the status quo or lack of credibility in the process being exhibited or thrown at the face of the electorate, Nigerians will react.
Okay, I was looking at the paper just now. I think I was looking at it deeply because I saw a story that makes me want to say, praise the Lord, and give a testimony in church. It sounds funny, but I hope it's true. Scientists turn flower fragrance into mosquito killer. This is good news for
It's a good one.
Let's hope that happens. On a very light and a very progressive note.
You can do it.
Let's hope that happens. Now let's look at our next paper. It's the Daily Independent, as we expect to have a flower fragrance killing mosquitoes. Let's check our next papers. The next paper here says Nigeria's state's debt climbs 6.8% to 10.57 trillion budget funds. The writer says Anambra emerges most fiscally sustainable state in 2005. Enugu State's likeliest state to survive independent of FAC allocations. Other headlines here. Reforms focus on easing hardship for ordinary citizens. This is coming from Edu. The writer says Nigeria needs long-term capital infrastructure investment from OTE, and then Sanusi blames decades of inaction on fuel subsidy for hardship. Other stories making the front page. Don't allow Nigeria's democracy die in your hands, Tinubu urged. That's on page 7. Also on page 7, reps move to probe NFF over misuse of $25 million FIFA CAF grant. This particular story, Mesha Koza is going to share his thoughts on it so deeply. We have here federal government targets 2 million meters annually with 700 billion naira funding. And more stories. NSA vows tough action against violence in Anambra pool. On page 6, Dangote Cement reports 165% surge in earnings per share. Also on page 6, the writer says reinforces market leadership across Africa. On the most bottom strip of the Independent newspaper this morning, we have Reps panel moves to impose green tax on plastic producers. Those are the stories making the front page of the Independent newspaper this morning. Let's go straight to this particular headline that said, Reps move to probe NFF over misuse of $25 million FIFA CAF grant.
The NFF is the biggest looting machinery in Nigeria presently.
Repeat that.
I said the NFF is the biggest looting machinery, second only to the National Assembly in Nigeria presently, because the grants, you see, the government needs to take action. That's why I see there's so much desperation of people to get into the glass house. You know, 25, I mean, every year they get grants for FIFA, they get, and these grants is not just, it's not small fry, they get from CAF for qualifying for every tournament, and we always qualify for most tournaments. Grants are given to the national teams, the Falcons, for example, and the Super Eagles, all the teams, any World Cup or African Cup of Nations they qualify for, they get grants. Now, so what happens to this grant? And you still see the NFF going a kappa begging to the Nigerian Federation to ask for funds that are no funds. I mean, it makes a mockery of true professionalism. I have never seen the English FA going to the England Assembly, to the House of Commons to seek for funds for the Three Lions. I have never seen them ask for money. Now, what do? Sports is the biggest game changer, the biggest earner of foreign exchange in the United States, in England, and in most European countries. The Premier League, as presently constituted, earns about over 350 billion pounds annually. I mean, so what are you talking about? Earns, not begging. So you can tell that is why you can see the Premier League is so lucrative, and so many other leagues, the baseball in the United States, the basketball, until our sporting leaders, this leadership of the NFF and all sporting associations understand that sports is a game changer, and in fact they are supposed to they can borrow the economy money if they know how to inculcate and imbibe corporate relationship and corporate partnership into sports management. It's so unfortunate you see our stadia always empty for our local league matches. Why? Because there's no branding, no marketing strategy within the NFF, and they have a marketing department. Every club side should have at least the minimum. We have how many weeks in the league? They should have at least close to 100 pairs of jersey. Like 4, 5, 6 sets of jersey minimum, branded by companies. It can be different. 2, 3 companies can be your sponsors, but we don't do all that. We still travel by road at this age and time. Most of the club sites can't even afford private jets or can't afford public commercial jets. You endanger the life of the citizens. What is the NFL doing? Look at our stadiums. Look at the dressing rooms. No maintenance culture. But then, when they have to travel for World Cup, you look at their baggage.
An entourage.
The entourage. And their extra costs are paid ahead. Financial entourage, emotional entourage, spiritual entourage, you name it, and everybody gets paid. So that's a mockery of the system. Now, what do we need to do? I'll tell you. People, like I've always said, and I still stand by it, people must go to jail. Until we start setting examples with people going to jail, whether not minding your status in society, we will never get it right. Now, can I let you know something? The Chinese, you can't do corruption. If you look at now, majority of the corruption being carried out in Nigeria now are being carried out by Chinese in collusion with our Nigerians. You see the ones that were caught in cyber cafe. They know if you do it in China, you will either the death sentence. Like, it's not here that they make a mockery of our judiciary. So they are running to Africa. The Chinese
where corruption is lucrative.
Yes, where corruption is tolerated, where corruption is encouraged. Now they set up the system. Even when they go into a lot of job construction and all, there's still corruption index there. So we need to change the narrative because we need to let people see us as a brand. We need to treat our football as a brand. We have lost value. We have lost branding. Our football. We have lost corporate patronage. We don't have a sponsor in the league. Each time there's a sponsor, there's always quarrel about the money that the sponsor brings because they want to share it instead of putting it into the league. we don't develop grassroots football or sports anymore, and that is a cry for help. Because the grassroots football is the panacea that gets the youths of the street.
Well, this money they are talking about, if you put it in naira, it's about
you are scaring me.
37 billion, more than 37 billion naira. That's the money we are talking about right now. And if you even go deeper, Pastor, let's go deeper, like I say in church, you find that in 2015 to this 2025, that's when they've said that this money's disappeared in terms of grants and FIFA allocations and the rest of them.
It's been disappearing.
The women also had their complaint. Now $160,000. Just
what about the winning
coach
money?
complained about that. They don't get it at all. And then there are two men here that will come into this mix. One of them is our own Delta, Mr. Amaju Penny. He was the boss way back in 2015.
All of them are
and
culpable.
The current
He's
boss,
my friend, he's my brother, but they're all culpable. They're all culpable. They all have this story. They must. I grew up with Amaju in Warri. He knows it. So I tell them, look, when the system is rotting, you, the head, will be held accountable. The rot starts from the head. So if they are going to do a couple, look, the likes of Kojo Williams were not allowed. They just spent 6 months because Kojo Williams, was somebody, the father was the National Sports Commission chairman in the 70s and all that, a man of integrity. He came and he wanted to block all these loopholes. They didn't align. They were shoved out less than 6 months. Now, Amaju is my friend. His tenure is not to be isolated for the investigation. They are all culpable, and so many other of them that have decided not to help our football grow. And that is why we have a coaching crisis. That's why we have a performance crisis in the Super Eagles. There is no build-up. There is no refinery of talent for us to bring into. There was such a time. I remember Leventis United defeating Abiola Bibbs 2-1 at Liberty Stadium in Ibadan, FA Cup 1984, FA Cup finals. Leventis United had players. James Etikobe was there. A lot of them, I can't remember some of the names now. Abiola Bibbs had quality players too. Raymond King was in goal. We had too many players.
But you know what hurts me, Engineer Meshach?
Yeah.
It's the fact that, do you know if, this is a fun fact, did you know if the NFF and every other body involved in football in Nigeria are honest about this whole thing, they will make more money than what they are making right now?
They know.
In terms of corruption.
They are not honest, but they know they make more money. But
they would have made more money because look at the premiership, would have made 360 billion annually.
They would have made.
Look at the money we're talking about. We're talking about to the final, where we had a picture recently.
If they make
we had a picture recently on Facebook. It went viral of a man who was doing a medical test. One of all the clubs, one of our homegrown clubs right in Nigeria, and they paired that picture with another Barcelona player. Nigerian player going for a medical test. It looked like he was suffering, and the European player looked like it was a flamboyance, and then it hurts many of us.
Yes, it was a difference. So it was a difference. So you don't look at it like that. It was a difference. So the problem basically is a system. We encourage trivialities. I'm not happy with the system.
Yes,
because when private citizens, we're into private citizens and private organizations, we're managing football, owned club sides. Club sides were thriving. Leventis United, Abiola Bibbs, Julius Berger, New Nigerian Bank, ACB, you name it. Spark Mwaya National, Ranchers Bees of Kano, Mighty Jets of Jos, Rocks Football Club of Jos, you name it. These were club sides owned. And there was a time, because there was marketing, every club had to make itself a brand. At that time, in the 80s, clubs could exchange jerseys without fear of favor. But now, most club sides just have 2 pairs of jerseys, away jersey.
When they are done with it, they can wash it down.
They must wash it. Now,
let's stop talking.
There was, now, the major killer of football is what we call quota. What has killed our civil service today is quota system. When they started bringing quota system into football selection, our football started to die. There was a time, 3 club sides produced about 15 players of a 23-man squad in the national team. New Nigerian Bank had about...
It didn't matter.
About 9-10. Abiola Bibbs had about 4-5. ACB had a Rumosu. 1. Julius Berger, stationary staff had Peter Rufai. Samson Ozogolak was the only person from Bendel Insurance. Lawrence Ukegbu came from Spartans of Owerri and all that. Now, in that, nobody was angry. We had 1 or 2 that came from Mighty Jets and Ranchers Bees of Kaduna. Then, in the starting 11, New Nigerian Bank alone, they were back-to-back Wafu Cup winners, 84, 85, 86. They produced, they had 7 players in the start of 11 of starting 11, 7 players. Willie Agbosibare in goal, Agbosibafe in goal. You had Sunday Boegbe and Stephen Keshi in the middle of the park. Central, you had Austin Popo in 7. You had Brighton Mokaru 3. You had James Onfred Dobo. You have Osaro Bobaifo. You had, I'll keep naming them. But then we lost it because we brought ethnicism, we brought religious bigotry, and we brought quota system into sports.
Okay, so away from the history now of when things used to be good and awesome, and there were lots of checks and balances to ensure that at the end of the day things went right in the sporting sector of the country. Can we bring back those good old times when things used to be good and lots of checks and balances with lots of transparency and most importantly accountability? How can we do this?
Now, most importantly, we need to make our football a brand first and foremost. A lot of people always say, it's because of Premiership, but it is the life from the pit of hell. South Africans watch Premiership. Yes. When you see that stadium always filled up.
And they're very passionate.
And they're very passionate. They go to stadium. They watch Premiership. Now it has become so easy. You and I can be in the stadium and be watching the Premiership from your phones. So it is not about Premiership at the same time they play Premiership, that's why stadiums are not full. Now, there was such a time that you could ask your date out, that let's go and watch the match at the stadium together. It was an outing. It was a sporting date. And he or she would be happy to follow you to the stadium. Now, the security must be guaranteed. And we need to have fan orientation. The fans need to understand that when they do a crime, they will do the time. Clubs need to know that they will be indicted if their fans misbehave. Home fans must take cognizance that they are the host and they must treat the away fans with dignity and respect. You cannot expect security to prevail when you take only one true police van to a stadium and you expect thousands of people to sit in the stadium and discuss and look at and watch football. When it's only in Nigeria, you see policemen that are supposed to be facing the crowd, facing the match, the pitch, watching football. It's a goal, they will shout a goal with the fans. I mean, it's a mockery. Now, what do we need to do? We need to brand football. Branding is a process of transforming the marketing potentials of club sides of our football to revenue generation. And how do you brand? You create an identity for the clubs, create an identity for our football, make it attractive for investors to look at it. And it's the biggest investment. You know what it means for me to wear Francis Ofuluwe on my shirt week in, week out? Everybody will ask, who is Francis? I want to know who Francis is. And we have seen situations where corporate organizations share, one part is branding this side, one part is branding that, the other half of the shirt. So, I mean, there's so many things to do. You can brand their water. You can brand their juice. And now you put your billboards in the stadium. Yeah, it is not the responsibility of the brand ambassadors to make you proud. And besides that, a lot of marketing strategies. Football is a major money earner. So they need to, put billboards, let them know. And besides, the branding should affect the fans too. It's not enough place for most of these big shirts, big brand companies to have their shops inside the stadium. That's another form of branding. Let people know that yes, so and so has a shop in the stadium, so and so as the sponsors have a sponsor. They should sponsor club sites. The NFF should think of how to attract. But instead, what do the NFF do? Think about themselves. They will tell the club, the sponsors to bring the money to them, that they don't worry, they will know how to. We're killing football.
Great. Let's look at the next paper now. And I think that's a New Telegraph newspaper.
Okay, yes, the New Telegraph newspaper. These are the headlines. From the screaming headline here, it says, Reps panel, we've received threats from terrorists to bomb NAS. And the writer there says, police kick as State Assembly's back bill to establish NAS Security Directorate. Now at the top strip of the New Telegraph newspaper, it says, First Bank vindicated. Arbitration Tribunal dismisses GHL's $718 million claim. CBN, bank loans to government up to 5.26% to 24.16 trillion naira. Right, this writer here says federal government to expand cash transfer beyond 15 million households. This is coming from Wale Edun, and there's a rider there. This one here says U.S. revokes Wole Soyinka's visa, ask him to reapply. And this story here says federal government processes 170 foreign application for citizenship. Anambra Guba, federal government vows tough action on disruptive element. And lastly, asset declaration, 9 ministers, 43 perm secretaries, 40 directors verified. Yes, verified. This is coming from CCB. And the writer here says over 500 forms reviewed. Okay. So these are the writers coming from the New Telegraph newspaper, but the one that stood out for me is Wale Edun coming out to say federal government is going to expand cash transfer beyond 15 million households, and he was saying something recently about small-scale earners, the fact that businesses is thriving and all of that. So what's your take on it?
Well, quite unfortunate, because you see, that issue of cash transfer has always been a subject of intense debate since the Buhari administration, because there's not been any form of transparency or accountability on the part of government, or showing on the part of government that people are actually receiving the transfers. I was privileged to have spoken to an Abuja-based politician. He said that for the South, that probably we had a problem, that there's not enough education, and that we are always reluctant in the South, but that is not enough reason, because I see it as an avenue for neutralizing funds, not for an avenue that does not show or allow for accountability. Because households need to, does that solve the problem when you keep giving somebody cash transfer? Perpetua, if you're not working there in the BS and you keep begging me for money, I keep giving you money, I will not have helped you, but if I get a job, I would have helped you. So I think that is not the problem. You should fix infrastructure that would enable Nigerians to become entrepreneurs if the jobs are not available. Power, Nigeria is since independence to date, we have not been able to restore 24 hours power in a country so beautiful, so blessed with natural and human resources. That's the question. Okay. We have not been able to restore security. Look at infrastructure. We can't move our goods to the internet. Forget this cash transfer. Develop the people through institutions and infrastructure. Let them be able to grow themselves.
Amen. And one story here that we have not looked at because we are wrapping up is U.S. revokes Wole Soyinka's visa, ask him to reapply. That felt very insulting yesterday when we saw that 1986 Nobel laureate winner. He's been going to the U.S. to give lectures here and there, and but they said that he left some information, and he had to reapply. Wole Soyinka said that.
But that's not a problem. He would reapply.
But he feels insulted.
Yes, you definitely would feel insulted, no doubt. I think it was a fallout from a pronouncement he made in 2016 or so. 2015, okay.
Where he tore his...
Yes, where he tore his American green card over Donald Trump's utterances. And unfortunately, Donald Trump is not a Democrat. Even Americans say he's not a Democrat. In the true sense, he's a fascist. It's one man that's very vindictive. He fights, everybody is a friend today, and everybody can become an enemy. He can stand alone. That's what has moved him in the business world. But moving forward, I think Wole Soyinka doesn't have anything to lose. Win or lose, it's closer to where he's going to than where he's coming from.
He's 91.
He's 91. America might not be, he's not coming there as a home. Even America, it's a loss for America to deny somebody like Wole Soyinka.
Who's going to go give a lecture?
Oh man, it's a big loss. But however, I think it will be resolved diplomatically.
And the church says amen to that. Thank you so much, Engineer Meshach Oza.
Always a pleasure.
You notice I was saying amen and hallelujah all the while because you took it to church. Very divine, very straightforward, and very righteous for the people. Thank you so much for doing this.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you some other time.
Thank you. Always available.
Morning Ride continues. We've got interviews, great conversations. Do stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Governor Sheriff once said, a modern Delta is not a dream, it is a vision we are actively bringing to life. When you hear of Governor Sheriff's trip to Brazil, to China, it is a testament of Governor Sheriff's commitment to bringing world-class standard infrastructural development to Delta State.
For the first time in the history of Delta State, I am seeing flyover constructions this massive and in these numbers being constructed at the central.
Hundreds of billions have been approved this year for flyover constructions, both in rural, river, and urban.
And as we are here talking, I believe plans are already in progress to beginning the projects that are already approved.
Even as we are here talking now, the Ugeli flyover construction is already beginning. Governor Sheriff, they deliver for all areas. Talk about sports, urban education. What about health? Now human empowerment, too many to mention. Governor Sheriff don't talk and say 2026 budget, he go prioritize capital projects, social welfare and infrastructure expansion. Governor Sheriff, governor will put the people before himself. Free matter.
I have told people that will do more.
Governor Sheriff, governing with
Oborewori government, they do numerous projects. And it still they go on to they approve new projects. And they not still they borrow money. Think calm.
No be lie. Delta government just approve projects worth 230 billion.
Governor Oborewori understand say when good road network dey, it dey help the economy to dey robust. Even individual businesses go dey thrive. Both transportations.
I hear say Governor Oborewori don approve Agbo flyover 59 billion.
Yes, I hear am.
And flyover for Ugeli Patani Highway for Otowodo Junction. Also, Sapele dual carriage 35 billion.
Yes, I dey aware.
Wait till Oga Friday. I hear say all these road constructions where they go on for Delta State now across the 3 senatorial districts.
Now everywhere. Why you ask?
I hear say Governor Sheriff they do road for Isoko Nation.
Governor Sheriff, they do numerous roads there. Don't forget say Governor Sheriff don't complete Emefon Road Phase 1. As for the talk, so Phase 2 dey in progress. Governor Sheriff don't do Utekbo Road for Elu. Also for that Elu, construction of Arada Road still dey in progress. Governor Sheriff, they do road for Emede. He still they do for Olomo Road, Igwide Road. Also, 3 internal roads for Ideheze community. Construction of bridge dey in progress for Asaba Asa. And this Asaba Asa bridge, when it dey completed, it will connect Uzere for Isoko South to Asaba Asa for Lopa East.
Don't do. Governor Sheriff more agenda. Na real matter.
Governor Sheriff came prepared to govern with excellence. Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
Yeah, good morning, viewers. My name is Right Honorable Victor Onyekachi Ucheyi. I once represented Abacha North State Constituency. constituency and Speaker Emeritus, Delta State House Assembly. Also the former Executive Director in the Maritime Administration and Safety Agency of Nigeria, and I guess that's about me. I've been elected 3 times by my constituents in Onitsha North, who found me worthy of serving them for the 3 times. One of which term, the first term I became Deputy Minority Leader of the House and rose to become the Speaker of the House eventually. And I guess that's about it, who I am. Any other thing would have been what people ascribe to me and not what I ascribe to myself. The one I know I did was I went to ask for votes and they gave me their votes in trust, and I'm sure I held it well in trust for them. And I don't think I want to describe myself other than what, well, people describe me for what they perceive you to be, rightly or wrongly. It's in the realm of politics, and it's okay. Yes, I was a member of the People's Democratic Party on the platform upon which I won 2 of my elections when I was in the House. And after the 2015 elections, I left the People's Democratic Party in 2016, early 2016, and I joined the All Progressives Congress, APC, and then to date. Now, those of them in PDP were the ones who came over to join the All Progressives Congress, and maybe I'll see myself as a forerunner or a visionary who saw that in time to come, the progressives were going to take over the reins of administration and governance of this country, and will do way better than the People's Democrats who, for whatever reasons, I don't know, they came over to join us, and I think the reasons behind their joining us are pretty obvious, considering what is going on at the center and the reforms of the federal government under the able leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and God's doing. And if the leadership of the PDP, led by the governor himself, and the chef, decides to move onto the progressive train, it can only be for the better for the state. One, you are aligning the state with the aspirations of the center, and it's better for us to be aligned and not be misaligned, because as a state, we will do better if you join forces with what's happening at the center and replicate same at the states, and it becomes a more beautiful scenario. So, them joining will have been all of this put together and the considerations thereof to tie the center to the state and ensure that the progress, political progress, development progress, infrastructural progress will come to the state benefiting and not losing out on its own because they're disaligned. So, in all, their movement, I don't know when it started. I'm not going to speculate, but I know that by April 28th, or 28th, we received them into the family of the All Progressives. And like we say, there are no old or new, so we all become one. So as much as possible, it was a seamless marriage, not a merger. And we're one and same people. Yeah, the outcome, let me put it this way, the stakeholders, what we call stakeholders, were basically in the constitution that people who are statutory members of the state executive committee, and it's in the constitution of the party. Those members were invited, as well as at least 10 leaders from each local government area. Of course, when you put all that down together, it's a huge meeting of the who is who in Delta State politics, because whether you're in PDP before, and you're a stakeholder, and you're an APC, and you're a stakeholder, coming together, we are all together, it forms a bigger ball of stakeholders coming together. It was a huge meeting since being the very first the governor is presiding over ever since they moved into APC in April this year. So like 6 months down the line, we now had a meeting where the whole state will come together under the umbrella and leadership of the governor, the Right Honorable Sheriff Okorodu. And this was the first meeting. It symbolizes a lot of things. First, it symbolizes the leadership of the governor over the party in the state. And once you have that in place, it means the ship now is no longer rudderless, and it can steer in the right direction, and the direction of governance and aspirations of the All Progressives Congress, which the government have called the Renewed Hope for More agenda. That is in place already. We also have, going forward, where all stakeholders heated to those who were in APC that the PDP came to join, and the PDP coming together to fuse, to actually build that bond and show the unity that exists between those who were there before and those who have come. So what we're doing is trying to kill this idea of this is the old APC and the new APC. No, we all become one by virtue of that stakeholders meeting. And what did we do? We take reports from the various representatives of the key political areas or institutions. We have local government chairman representative, the party chairman, local government party chairman representative. You have the senator speaking. You have the representative of the National Assembly, the House of Representatives. You have that of the House of Assembly, the speaker speaking on their behalf. You have leaders speaking on behalf from Delta North, Delta South, and Delta Central. So by the time we had all of these aggregates coming together to speak on behalf of the various stakeholders that come together, it was pretty obvious that we have come to a point where we can cement the party and make sure that we all are one and same people. And the highlight of it was obviously, well, we've come to a point where if we all are one and same state, the stakeholders are in sync, everybody there, that was Delta State politicians that we saw. So, if we all are under one roof, and we all come in one accord, and we believe in one leader,
of confidence. Assembly. In moving the motion, Mr. Keyamo praised President
the only thing we can do is to say, listen, give this leader the opportunity to continue to do the good works we have all acknowledged he's doing. And so we came together and said, okay, it's time, let us endorse him as a sole candidate. I mean, this time, the governor and, of course, the president, who have an opportunity to run for a second term. Let's give both of them an endorsement for a second term, unopposed. And that's what we're asking for. So that was the highlight of the occasion, where the governor and the president was giving an endorsement to become sole candidates for our election. It's our party election. We decide who we want to be our candidates. It's not anybody else. So we've taken that decision. Those who would like it, well, we've presented who we believe is our best foot forward to run for us in the elections. And we've so declared. And we'll wait for the right process to be done. And we'll have them to run for us. Because we believe in what they're doing. We stand by our endorsements. division in the party. APC is one and the same because the executive committee members of the party and the officials of the party form what I call the framework of the party. We do not have two state chairmen, we do not have two local government chairmen or any division down the line. We have one and same. The fact that we say as APC members and APC stakeholders that we declare that Sheriff Oborevwori should be the sole and the president should be the sole candidates for us is because we don't think we need to spend time and money and energy conducting a Congress, primaries when we know that we all will vote for Sheriff Oborevwori. So anybody who wants to try will just be wasting his money. The endorsement in any case does not take away the right of anybody who says in the party that he wants to contest with the governor. But if the majority have come out to endorse the governor and you still want to stand an election, it's your right. It's the inalienable right of any member of the party who wants to contest with the governor of the primaries or the president of the primaries. So nobody's going to stop them. However, just like it's your right to run, it's also the inalienable right of those of us who have taken out an endorsement to say, this is who we want going forward. So don't come to me tomorrow to tell me you want to run for governor or president and expect me to give you support. You don't need to consult me because I've taken my stand and it's clear where it is. So I'm not going to be bothered about that. So that's what people should not misconstrue that to mean that, oh, it looks like there's a division and we are already taking a position. No, that's not it. It's just like members of the House say, hey, we are comfortable here. So this is where we stand. That does not take away the right of any other person who wants to run against those who've endorsed to run against them. By all means, they are welcome to run. By the time the funds are available to contest the primaries, they have the means to pay for it. And then we, the party members, will go and choose, depending on the mode of primary they intend to use, who presents ourselves, they'll present themselves for the run, and we will make our choice. But I can assure you that I know what the outcome will be. It doesn't take away the right of anybody to say they want to run. But I also can assure you, it doesn't take away my right to endorse who I want. And the right of stakeholders who made the endorsement and a lot of other party officials who stand by the endorsements. So it's not a question, it's not a basis for argument or a platform for argument. Anybody is free to run, endorsement notwithstanding. Let me put it in the legal parlance. Well, you say especially now that he's on the APC, so he's thinking that, oh, I should speak of him in glowing lights because he's my party member. No. Even when he was in the PDP, first, what I do as a person, I don't condemn on the basis because we are not on the same party platform. That's quite, it's quite amateur for a politician of my stature to speak in that light. I take cognizance of the activities that leads to the assessments that people use in making this judgment. And I look at critical sectors of the state, the economy, the social sector, and of course the welfare affects Deltans. And I'll tell you without fear of contradiction. I listen to some of the things he has done, particularly in the area of increased internally generated revenue. when he gave his State of the Union, the State of the State address. And I realized that he had even surpassed his expectations of the internally generated revenue. Now, most times, states don't meet their expectations, so they have a projection. And when they don't meet it, it's because, okay, well, they've tried, they've improved. But when you meet and surpass it, it simply tells me that there's something he's doing that people are willing to pay their taxes and their rates to government, because if they are not doing well, those rates and taxes will not be paid. And I'm not seeing people crying, no, they're just collecting taxes from us and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. I see the infrastructural development, what it's doing in already flyovers, and the ones other projects have been approved. And the fact that contractors under him are being paid. I tell you, there's a lot he's doing. Perhaps I had the opportunity to sit with him and I said to him, people don't know what you're doing. That's why they are not appreciating your works, but you need to put it out there. People need to know. But if you ask me, going to the real question, how would I score him? I score him very well. Highly, that he's doing well. He can do better, he can do more, but he needs to keep at what he's doing because he's doing very well. Anytime we talk about reforms, they come with leaving old ways and doing new things. Now, one of the only thing that is constant in life is change, and to in every way affect people. And in affecting people, what happens is a situation where the pains don't come expectedly, because maybe some streams of income that were coming suddenly shuts out, some things going on for you smoothly spikes, and then you not being able to continue from where you are because of the sudden reform, which is a policy shift. Now the choice is to be made. The choice is, do we take the reform and live well in the long run, or let us go for the pain because the pains will be there, let us continue the old ways and continue to go down the drain. I told somebody that, well, like I always describe it, if I intend to go to Benin from Asaba now, and I come out to the express, start heading towards Onitsha and say, okay, don't worry, somewhere I'll connect Benin, I will never get to Benin because I'm supposed to turn right. But until, no matter how down, far left I've gone, until I take the turn and begin to drive down back and cross back through Asaba, back to Benin, you cannot imagine the time I've taken. That time is the pain. At the point where I decided to do the turn is the reform. The time I take down to come through the process which I've gone that far is the pain. But the time I get to Benin is our destination. Therefore, putting it, I took time to do this, to put it in a more figurative way so people can understand what's really happening. The reforms are decisions that must be taken at the point where we have taken an inflection so far from the norm. Coming back is the time and the pain which the reforms must bring, because you have to buy more fuel because you've driven so long away and all of that. That's the pain. But will this turn take us to destination? Definitely we'll be at our destination, and that is when it begins to happen. It may take a little bit of time, but we are already beginning to see the gains thereof. So I want to say, in rating it, the reforms are fantastic. Even the World Bank says so. Some will argue, what will the World Bank give you the when they praise, it means that actually, yes, the reforms are needed, we need them. However, we'll manage the process to come to destination. And in managing the process, ensuring that the gains and the fallout from the reforms are not abused, we will get back to destination. The pains will be for a time, but definitely will there be an El Dorado? I can assure you an El Dorado will come. I feel the pain. Everybody feels the pain. Even the president feels the pain. But I can tell you, it just takes some time. And yes, if we don't do it now, we're only going to postpone doomsday. But we started it. I rate it well. I rate it high and I rate it good. And I believe we'll get there. Yes, our hopes are renewed in the sense that the key indicators that will renew those hopes are the reforms. They may appear tough now because, everybody wants something in the instant. We need our lives to change instantly. We want things to begin to happen. But we've forgotten that everything about life is a process. Even having a baby that grows up and the child is growing, it gets to a point where the child needs to crawl and begins to hold stuff, to walk, and he starts walking, he falls. It gets to a point where the legs get very strong and he starts to run. It's a process. The same thing is where we are passing through. But we've come to a point where people have become impatient out of frustration or whatever, and it looks like if you get in here today, by tomorrow you've changed the whole thing. It's not going to happen. Even in the United States, when the cost of living was crazy, people were angry. They said, Trump will come and do it. Has he been able to do it? No. The cost of living is still up there. But because there's a process to ensure that all of these promises and reforms will begin to yield fruit. So we'll get to that point where before they start to yield the fruits, the pains will be there. But then, that is the hope renewed. The hope renewed is the fact that the reforms will come, the pain will come. But the moment you have hope, then you know that there is a point where we'll begin to benefit. Hope is that, what I don't want to use the word faith like the Bible says, but when you hope for something, my people will have an adage say, hunger when you hope, the key person. So this hope we have is renewed. If you know that, hunger when you hope, the key person, we are renewing to say, listen, you will not die, but we will definitely get to destination and will all benefit from the destination. Now, one of the key things that needed to be changed, like reform, was the fuel subsidy, petrol subsidy. We got to a point where the subsidies we're paying were way beyond what our capital fund was in this country. And that was going to the hands of just a few. And again, they were not measured in the way and manner that you could actually assess how much. But it makes no sense that we have refineries in the country, we have crude, we take it out to be refined and import it back to our country. So what did that do to us? It was affecting our foreign exchange flow. It was affecting a whole lot of other domestic transactions that are tied to foreign exchange because people can no longer access them easily. Now, that needed to go. And if that went, what were you doing? Deregulate the market. So anybody can go, you can buy your fuel, you can refine your fuel, and then you can sell. So competition helps to bring prices lower. If you produce an ounce of crude and I am an importer, if at the end of the day there's a standard which we know that what we both I import and you produce locally, the standards are the same, I'll have to check my cost as an importer if it's cheaper, and you as a producer if it's cheaper for you to produce here. And at the end of the day, let us compete. If my price is better than yours,
I'll continue to put it out there. But in trying to ensure I'll do you as my competitor in the market, I will try to bring my price down and make my margins smaller. And you, as a producer, will also have to do that as well. In doing that, at the end of the day, you know who benefits? The consumer. Because we are both competing, and we are bringing the price down because I need to sell. Then, who benefits? The consumers at the end of the day. Who are the consumers in this case? Nigerians. So the fuel subsidy needed to go. Because in subsidizing it, you don't know the pains, the competition is not there, and you're not throwing it to the open market for them to get that factor too. That's one of the key indicators. The second is floating of the naira. Yes, it's a very dangerous political decision to take to float your currency. However, we needed to do it, otherwise we're spending money, the country is spending money to defend the naira. You're putting money out there so that the price of you can stabilize the price of the dollar. Why do that when you can let it free? It starts falling, gets to a point where the stabilization will come. And that's where we are headed. In the past couple of months, we've seen the dollar go down to a stable position. It's now under 1,500 naira. And what would that do? It gives business people the opportunity to plan your businesses. I can project, because when the dollar was going, the naira was up and down, you could not plan anything. And once you can't plan, and the private sector is not functional, you can forget the fact that your economy is growing, because the macroeconomic effects are devastating to any economy. Therefore, you need to put things in place. Now, if the monetary policy comes this way, there must be a handshake from the fiscal side, and that will give you a stable currency. And so far, so good. It's not been easy, but that's where we are headed, and that's what's been happening, and we can see the fruits coming thereof. What has taking up the fuel subsidy done? It has released more monies to the states for infrastructural development. So the states gets more money now than they used to have before now, because all that monies were taken to pay subsidies, but those subsidies are not there anymore. So they are free to the states for them to use. So in my opinion, I would say I've given you what the key indicators are. These are the first two reforms which are key. However, the other reforms which are also in place that are coming, infrastructurally, taking on major projects like the coastal road project. It should go down the line to take the whole process down the gamut. Before that process will come into place, a whole lot of time will have been on it, and you probably won't even have the time. But you need the courage to take some of these decisions and say, okay, I'm doing this now because I know the benefits of the future, and then we can put it, regulate, ensure we regularize thereafter. These are issues that can be done, and these are reforms taken. They are bold, they may be stringent as it appears, but they will yield good results. So these are indicators that I can tell you about that are in place. Look at the oil sector, which was the nerve of this country. In reforming the oil sector, bringing in industry hands that are trained in the industry, from the chairman of the NNPC, PC Limited, down to the very last board members, are all sector players. What does that give you? You now have people who have what it takes, who understands the industry, to run the industry. And it can only give you good results. It can't give you bad results. Some of these reforms I'm talking about, these key indicators, are happening in so many other sectors. And that's just to put succinctly, I've given you just for a few, but key amongst them, which everybody knows, is the fuel subsidy, and of course the floating rate.
Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and the governor of our state, Elder Sheriff Oborowori. The second motion is that for the 2027 election, all the leaders here gathered from Delta State, from the length and breadth of Delta State, we adopt the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the Governor of Delta State,